Right, guys, before you watch this little podcast, right, this amazing story from Lockie Campbell, know this: if you want to know about this story in more detail and want to read about this story, then go to www.badboysbooks.net. Also, the link to buy Lockie's books is in the description and comment section of this video, along with all my social medias. Lockie is going to be talking about his whole life, from India to taking acid around Europe, to then being locked inside a Chinese communist prison, after being caught trying to smuggle 20 kilos of hash into Japan. This story is mind-blowing. It's fantastic. It's mind-bending. Lockie's been to 50 different countries, and he's a very well-travelled man. And most importantly, he's Scottish and he's Glaswegian. So he's a character, Lockie. So let's show Lockie some support by giving this video a thumbs up. And leave a comment and tell me what you think about this podcast. And if you are into true crime, or if you're into just explosive stories, make sure you buy Lockie's book. It's only £20, guys. So you can just use the link in the comment section or description of this video. Go over. £20, guys. What would you spend £20 on? I would spend £20 on my lunch sometimes. Now, £20 is still a lot of money, but for what you're getting here, guys, this is, it's priceless, guys. It's priceless. This man's story is priceless, and I am honoured for this guy to come on and share his story with me on my channel. So yes, guys, let's give this little video a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, subscribe and ring the bell, and enjoy the podcast. Peace. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you. How's yourself?
All good, all good. It's a beautiful day in Ireland, Northern Ireland here. So you're living in Indonesia?
That's correct. I live in Central Java. Beautiful little place.
Right. Okay. So listen, this is Lockie Campbell, and Lockie has got an explosive and a very experienced story, should you say. Lockie was locked up for 12 years in a Chinese prison for trying to smuggle 20 kilos, I believe, of hash into Japan.
Yes.
And that was with your son, I believe.
Yes, that's correct.
Before we talk about that, do you want to talk a little bit about where you're from, your early life, just briefly?
Yeah. Well, I was born in 1950 in the city of Glasgow.
Mm-hmm.
I've got 4 older sisters. I've got 1 older brother, and I've got 2 younger brothers. And we lived in what's called a single end. It's a 1-bedroom house with an outside toilet.
Mm-hmm.
So we had like 8 children, and my mother was there also. Unfortunately, my father was serving 10 years in prison for bank robbery and hijacking. So he wasn't around much. It was all my mother that's taking care of us. And at a very early age, after I went to primary school there, I was quite good in school. But because my father wasn't there, we didn't have any money, to support us. So the rent collector would often come to the house to get money, and my mother didn't have the money. So we what we call is moonlighting. In the middle of the night, leave the house, and then go and trying to get another one. So
right.
I done that. Oh, I don't know how many times. I remember I was in first place I was Rock Hill in Glasgow, then George Street. Then I went to Postle Park, and eventually in 1960, so I'm about 10 years of age then, we got a 3-bedroom house in a place called Carntine. It had a bathroom inside with a bath.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a separate kitchen, a TV room, and 3 bedrooms.
Wow.
By then, 2 of my sisters had already got married. So it only left me, my 2 brothers, and my 2 other sisters. My other older brother, he was also taken into care when he was a boy And I never ever seen him in my life before. I don't know who he is. And then he came back to our house when I was 12 years old. He found his way back from this island called Tyree. I heard my mother talking about him. You know, sometimes he would have a wee drink and crying, oh, my boy, my George, where is he? And then he turned up one day, and all of a sudden I've got a big brother who I never knew. I knew existed, but I'd never, ever met before. So my young years was like, as I say, moving from one housing scheme or one district to another district until we got to Camtine. And as I say, 3-bedroom house. Then my father got out of prison. So life changed quite drastically. Nice clothes, got a bicycle for the first time in my life. But unfortunately, my father went back into prison again. It was only out for, I only remember maybe 3 years. Then he was back in prison again, doing 7 years for armed robbery. So we were back to being destitute and no money again. So my childhood wasn't very, I guess you say, it wasn't really happy. It was a bit unsettled.
And you were streetwise, I can see. You must have grew up streetwise and known how to do things for yourself.
From a very early age. I mean, it's very funny. I'm going to laugh about this. But when I was about 5, because with no money, like my mother, this might sound terrible. My mother used to send us out into the street to pick up dog ends, you know, cigarette butts. And we go picking up cigarette butts. And a lot of times, because I'm in the centre of the city, I was living in George Street, you would see American sailors, you know, on leave because we've got a naval base in Dunoon, just outside of Glasgow. And we'd go, any gum cham? You got any gum cham? You know, little boys, you know, any gum cham? Try to talk like an American. But talking about streetwise, I got streetwise a very young age.
Yeah, it seems that way. And what just a quick question in that there. How do you feel your father being in prison for the first stint and then coming back, have him in your life, and then he goes back into prison for 7 years? Did that have a big impact on you?
Yeah, it was I guess you could say quite fantastic when he came out, because you could get new shoes, new clothes, a bicycle. I had a bicycle at 5-speed gears, you know, 5-speed gear. I mean, that's unheard of, you know, for a little Glasgow runt like me, having a 5-gear speed bike. So, and the house was all decorated with a sofa, with a radiogram, with a TV. You know, it was kind of a luxury, you know.
And what year was this again?
So that would be about 62, 63.
Wow, that was a lot for, you know, for that era to have that. So was your dad in the, was he a worker? Was he doing other things? How did he obtain these?
He was, you can Google his name, Bobby Campbell. It's called the Bobby Campbell Gang.
Okay. Blew
up banks, hijacking, armed robbery. He was a gangster, basically.
Also a very streetwise man.
Oof. Yeah. And immaculately dressed. You know, immaculate. Little soft hat. And even, I remember one time sitting in the house and my older sister come up with her husband. And my father had bought one of those little cars for the baby, you know. So the baby can sit in the car. And the husband was ex-army. And he was a bit of a, you know, bit of a lad, a big tall guy, you know. My woman just pulled out a fucking gun, said, like, shut the fuck up. I was like, a gun, you know, what's going on here? My sister, no. Because the guy was a little bit, you know, like some people can be. They're not being in the army, not necessarily because they were in the army, but he was a big tall guy, kind of a handsome and my father just said, hey, shut the fuck up.
That's it. Once that happens, the room goes quiet, and that's it. Doesn't matter if you're in the army or not.
That's right. And another time when I was in the house, a friend of my father's had done an armed robbery in the same street where we lived. There was a factor's, the rent collector, and he went up and robbed him. and ran down the back way and come up the back stairs into our house, bundles of money, and gave it to my sister. And she's sticking it down her knickers and stuff like this. I'm going, what the fuck's going on here? You know, I'm just a little kid. And then the police came to our house one time also, the bomb squad, and they pulled the house apart, you know, looking for explosives, because they used to do safe blowing as well. So I sort of a streetwise, but maybe too young to be seeing those sort of things. So that would have affected me.
Of course, yeah. It's like, it's looking like that you grew up and it was chaotic, but your dad at the same time, as you say, he probably was a man of morals, but it was a chaotic time. So you learned a lot. Do you think going into your story now that sort of set you up to the 12 years in the Chinese prison, the sort of the hash, that sort of crazy lifestyle? Can you?
Yeah, you're correct. Because when my father went to prison, then we're on our own again.
Yeah.
My mother died very young. My mother died when she was 42. My two older sisters, I already told you, are married. So they've got husbands and children of their own now. And the next sister is Agnes. Her name's Agnes. She was only 16. And she's left to take care of me and my two other brothers. But my next sister up, Sarah, she took Robert and Tommy to live with them because we're only kids, you know.
So you're split then.
Agnes took care of me, but she was only 16 herself. So not getting much discipline, you know, so I get a little bit unruly and want to be the man of the house sort of thing. So go out stealing, try to steal this, steal that. And eventually, by the time I was 15, I broke into a shop, and there was the till in the shop, you know, ding, ding, to get the money. But I couldn't open it. It wouldn't open. It must have had a lock. So I lifted up the till, tried to throw it out the window so as I can carry it and take it away with me. And I got arrested, of course. In the street, trying to struggle with this big till. It was one of the old-fashioned things, you know, the big brass ones with all the... Like a big giant typewriter. And I got arrested. So I was sent to an approved school for 1 year. And approved school is just like a reform school for boys. And of course, you're 15 and there was a lot of gangs then, you know. So I was one of the gangs. I came from this gang called the Carlton Tongs from the east side of Glasgow. And go to the approved school, there was always a lot of fighting, you know, because this gang came from the south side and they came from the west side and they came from the north side. And anybody outside wasn't born in Glasgow, they were a target. You know, it's just the way it was. It was just a gang culture. And I left there when I was 16 years of age. And then I was only out, I think maybe about 6 weeks. I got arrested again for breaking into a car. And I get sent to Borstal for 1 year. Now, Borstal's quite a different ball game. We went to a detention house for 10 weeks. 10 weeks of heavy circuit training, running 5 miles a day. Oh, I mean, it was really, actually very good for you, you know, because the exercise, but again, a lot of conflict because I'm faster than you or I'm better than you and let's have a fight. So it wasn't a very good experience, but it helped me physically.
Did you feel like the discipline, or maybe do you think if you had that type of discipline, the good discipline, not the harsh discipline, but that discipline of sort of like the routine at an earlier age, that maybe things would have been a wee bit different?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I've often thought about that because I remember one time having a discussion with an English girl. I was living in the Philippines at the time. And I remember saying, I think I'm a victim of my environment. That was my view on it. But she correctly come back and says, well, there's many people in Glasgow, the same streets are around the corner, who've never been in trouble. So you can't blame it on the environment. So part of that is, I think both sides of that can be true. Because my environment was, my father was in prison. And it made me a little bit, I would guess you'd say, antisocial, anti-authority. Because they took your father away from you. Then you had to go up to prison and looking through there's a glass panel so you can't touch. So there was a bit of resentment inside me against authority. And also being 15, 16, I wanted fashion. I wanted to dress. Then it was a mod to be a mod. And the only way I could get money, sometimes I'd crash the shop window, jump in through the window, steal a leather coat, and just run up, crazy stuff, you know, run along the street with a leather coat under my arm. So I was unruly, I guess. I didn't have the discipline that you would need as a young man.
Yeah. So how then did you go from that to trying to, if we can execute it this way, how did you go from that, from trying to get 20 kilos of hash into Japan? Where did you move? How did you go from Glasgow to the other side of the world?
So I'll give you a quick rundown on this because it's quite a long story. At 19, I got married. So that allowed me to break away from the gangs. And I became an apprentice painter and decorator. Right. And at 19, I was still an apprentice. I hadn't finished yet. And a friend of mine from Glasgow was living in London. And he came up to my house. And he brought a lump of hash and was sitting smoking. He said, "You want to take a hit of acid?" I said, "Yeah, come on." We took a hit of acid, you know, tripping out. Whoa, whoa. Then I don't know what happened. I just said to my wife, "Why don't I just go down to London with Ralph? I'll get a job down there and I'll send for you." "Yeah, that's a good idea." So next morning, me and Ralph off down to London, still smoking hash, get to his place in London, still taking acid, go to see a band. It was a Dutch band then called Focus. And I used to be a little bit of a thief, well, even since I was young. So I went into this grocer shop and I creeped in the back shop, opened up the safe and get £1,200 out of it. Inside, you know, those little leather bank bags. I took the bank bag, stuck it down my trousers, walked out the shop. Nobody saw me. £1,200 inside. Goes back to the apartment. Look at the money. Let's go buy some dope. No. Then Ralph says, "Let's go to Holland." "Yeah, that's a good idea." Jump off, arrive in Amsterdam, bought one sheet, I don't know, maybe 100 trips of acid, blotting paper.
Wow. Take
the acid, oh yeah. Ended up hitchhiking to Belgium, then hitchhiked into Paris, all the way through the south of France, into Spain, acid all the way, you know, whoa. Arrived in acid in Spain, met lots of people, you know, because lots of foreign people from all over the world go there for working as well. I've got the acid, so hey, let's have a party. We partied up and had a great time. And all of a sudden, 8 months had passed. 8 months. And I thought, oh, I never sent any letters. I never sent a postcard. My hair got longer, added more earrings, necklaces, bangles, ponytail. Yeah, man, you know, just lost the plot. Totally lost the plot. I better arrive home. So I arrived home. Of course, my wife just went. And while I was gone, she was pregnant. I didn't know that. So I had another son. Now I've got 2 sons.
Wow.
And one's just a baby, you know, it's just a month old or something.
Yeah.
And but my wife said, "No, I don't want you back here anymore. You know, you can't stay."
So that was it.
So that was separated from my wife and went to London again. And again, the same old trip, taking drugs, taking acid. And I seen an advert in the newspaper, painter and decorators wanted for Saudi Arabia. I applied for the job. You have to phone them up, come down to King's Cross. I went down to King's Cross. They sent me over to Belgium to do a test, put me into an empty room, told me paint the ceiling, wallpaper the wall, paint the window, doors, skirting boards. So they just observe. Do you know how to do the job properly? Well, I told you that was my job. I became a painter and decorator. So I got the job, no problem. About 3 days later, I arrived in Saudi Arabia. So and the salary was very good. I think it was £400 or £500 a week. And if you worked on a Friday, because it's Islamic Day of Prayer, they gave you double and triple time, depending how many hours. So sometimes my salary in the week could be £600. And after the 3-month contract, They pay for a flight for you wherever you want to go in the world. Because I met other guys on the job.
So they pay for your holiday.
Yeah.
Wow.
They don't pay for the holiday, they pay for your ticket.
Their ticket, sorry. Your ticket, yeah.
Yeah, but they pay your round trip ticket.
Wow.
So I meet guys and guys are saying, yeah, oh, go to Colombia. Oh, Brazil's better. Oh, yeah, South America. Thailand's fantastic. But I just had it in my mind, I want to go to India. I just want to go to India. So I went to India. I'm supposed to only go for 2 weeks, but I got caught up there. I really liked it, you know, the music and the smells and the colors. And of course, lots of hash. Easy to access the hash. So as soon as I arrived, block of hash, lying about smoking for about 2 weeks, never moved my ass, just smoking. And then I thought, oh, I ended up staying there for 3 months. And then I went to Nepal. Oh, no, first of all, yeah, I did go to Nepal. Then I came back to India. Then I went back to the UK again. And then in 1976, 77, I went back out to India. And that's where the drug trip, that's when the smuggling began.
So what, yes, so yeah, whenever you were there for 3 months, what age were you?
73, 75. I would be 26.
26, and then you come back to the UK, and then you go back out. What age are you when you go back out to Nepal?
27, 28.
Right, and is that you then? You stay
That's
there?
That's me off and no come back again.
Right. Is it just, that's your life? You've seen this place. This is your place. You like the culture. You like the hash. You like the people. And that's you.
Yeah, I loved it. You know, I loved India. I really loved it.
Yeah. No, I've heard it's a beautiful place.
Oh, I've been in more than 50 different countries, but India's still my favorite. I mean, other countries have got different things to offer. You know, example, Japan's fantastic also because of the people are polite. It's the most cleanest place on the planet. It's got delicious food. Korea also interesting. Hong Kong, Cambodia, Philippines. I stayed in the Philippines for 5 years. I like that also very much. But I can talk about that because that's part of the smuggling trip. So anyway, I'm back now in the UK and I go back to India 78. And again, stayed in India for about 3 months, then travelled overland into Nepal. Stayed in Nepal for about a month, done a bit of trekking around the foothills of the Himalayas. Then my next destination was Thailand. I went to Thailand, and actually my money was beginning to get lower, but still had enough to go to Thailand. But I only stayed in Thailand for a week. And I thought, whoa, some beautiful women there, because the place I stayed at had a swimming pool, and I was down at the swimming pool and I was chatting to 2 Swedish girls. And now looking over, there was a couple of foreign guys like me, looked like me, and with 2 beautiful girls, you know. I said, whoa, they're beautiful. And the girl said to me, yeah, they're prostitutes. I went, what? She said, yeah, they're prostitutes. I said, no, look at them. They're beautiful. I didn't know about that culture then. The people who I met traveling, they only talked about where you could get the best hash. Nobody ever talked about sex or, no, this is a good mountain to go to, or that's a good lake to visit, or that, go down that river. Nobody talked about women. It was only hash.
It wasn't in your radar about the sort of the sex work. It was about the hash, the drugs, the good time, but all this, the prostitution. Question for you. Did you ever get a surprise with one of those? Because I hear that Thailand has a lot of ladyboys.
Well, I didn't have one surprise. I maybe had about 100.
I know a lot of people that say they go over and
because I went back again. That time I didn't. That time I just went on to Hong Kong. But I was making that much money. Thailand was a frequent place for me to visit. Fantastic place, great food, beautiful women. And the Philippines was exactly the same. But the difference with the Philippines is everybody can speak fluent English.
Right.
Okay. Thailand is, oh, make noise. Oh, I like you long time. You're very good. So what? You learn English? Oh, I love you. I love you long time. Okay. Yeah. So different, the language barrier. Philippines made it a lot easier because They spoke English the way me and you speak English,
Yes.
but they have an American accent because two American bases there.
Yeah, yes, I suppose. Yes, you'd be. Yeah, yeah. Just thinking. Yes, they have the American lingo to them. So, right. So, when is it? So, what age are you then? You spend a long time there. What age are you then to?
So now I arrive in Hong Kong. I'm 29.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And in Hong Kong, I go to this place called Chungking Mansions. It's a travelers' hangout, backpackers' hangout. Very inexpensive. Arrived there. I was only there one day, and the Chinese guy says, "You want to make some money?" I said, "Yeah." "Okay, you take technology from Hong Kong to South Korea. Then from South Korea, you go to Japan. Buy technology Japan, because Japan, Hong Kong, duty-free. You go back to South Korea, stop in Taiwan, then from Taiwan back to Hong Kong. And the ticket lasts for 17 days. It was only a 17-day ticket. It cost $300 American to buy. So maybe I didn't go alone. Maybe it was 6 other backpackers and 1 Chinese guide. So they would purchase all the technology like a Leica, Hasselblad, Nikon, lenses, Walkman, Casio calculators, lots of, then it was the latest technology. Excuse me. They load you up with that, escort you, arrive in South Korea, give them the technology. He goes to the black market. He sells it all. Following day, maybe just sitting around. And then the next day, we're off to Japan and go to this place called Akihabara. Akihabara is a massive, you call it Electric City. It's got every possible technology you can imagine and stuff that I'd never ever seen before. So, because you know, Japan was very advanced in technology in those years. Yep, so he'd buy all the technology again, to load us up again, fly from Tokyo back to South Korea, pass it over, then on to Taiwan, buy ginseng, then from there to Hong Kong. And you could go around and around, and they also paid you $300. So you got a free ticket, accommodation, plus you get $300 for your salary or your wages.
That's pretty
and
good.
You want to do it again next week, you can do it next week.
Yeah.
I've done it about 10 times. It was that easy, you know, just around and around and around.
And you're traveling and you're getting to see the place and you're getting paid for it. Do you know, that seems like it's a win-win.
That's exactly how I looked about it. I'm getting free travel. I'm visiting these countries for free.
For free,
and getting paid for it.
Yeah.
So after about, let's say, 10 trips, the little bulb in the head goes, why don't you just buy the technology yourself?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
I know all the brand names. I carry them all the time. I know it's Sony, Nikon, Hasselblad, Leica, Casio. All the brand names I know. So I thought, I'm going to do it myself because I'd saved a couple of $1,000. Bought my first load. Went Japan, back to Korea, back to Hong Kong. I'd made about $2,000.
Wow. Is that the first trip?
First trip.
Wow.
Maybe a bit less, but round about 2,000. I thought, whoa, this is a big difference from 300. Of course, I had to pay my own ticket. I had to pay my accommodation. But let's say I come out 1,300 profit.
Brilliant.
So I've done that again and again. Done that a few times. And then, as I said, there's many travelers there. And people say, you can take the same stuff to India. I thought, India? Yeah. Oh, India. Mention the word India, I'm up for that. Just to buy exactly the same technology. Give me a contact in Delhi. Arrive in Delhi. We went with a couple of other guys. So they had been there before. Sold the stuff in Delhi. I think, whoa. I think I'll buy a bit of hash because I love smoking.
Here we
I'll
go.
take it back, you know, a couple of 100 grams, you know what I mean? It's not much. Took a couple of 100 grams back to Hong Kong. There's a big international group of us, you know, there's loads from all over the world. We're all doing the technology smuggling. Pull out hash, smoke a joint. Everybody wants a smoky joint, right?
Yep.
So you can't say no. So you roll a few joints and pass them around. So I never gave it any second thought. Next time I go back to India again, I do the same thing. Bring a couple of 100 grams. Oh yeah, Lockie, yeah, give us a puff. Yeah, can you give us a bit? Hey, why don't you bring it yourself? You're going to India. Why don't you bring some back again? Oh, you know, if we get caught with hash, we'll go to jail. But if we get caught with technology, they only pay tax or maybe confiscate. But hashish, we go to the jail. I thought, okay. Next time I bring it back, I'm selling it to them. I'm not giving them a joint. Nothing's for free.
Exactly.
They've already declared, oh, maybe we go to jail, so that means I can go to jail also. So the second time I took a kilo, and the third time I took a kilo. Sold it very easy. But I only sold it for a couple of $1,000s, which is not bad, because in Delhi at that time, it would cost between $80 and $100 for a kilo. So it wasn't expensive. So I got a couple of thousand for that. I thought, oh, that's good. Next time I'll bring some more. So I arrive back again to Hong Kong, but this time I bring 2 kilos, sell it. Then I go back on the trip going to Korea and Japan. And I'm in this bar in Japan called the 69 Club. It's a reggae bar. Every single person, Japanese in the club, long dreadlocks. You'd have thought they were all West Indian or from Jamaica. Every one of them dreadlocks. Really amazing to see, you know, in the center of Tokyo, all these dreadlocks. And I said to the guy, is it okay if I smoke a joint? Because I'm thinking, Rastafarians, you know, they must like to smoke.
Yeah, yeah.
The guy says, yeah, but you have to go upstairs. You can't smoke in the bar, but upstairs, we have a room upstairs, you can smoking upstairs. So I go upstairs, sit down, pull out a lump of hash, maybe an ounce, you know, crack a bit off, roll a joint. All the eyes are like,
yeah.
You want to, because the smell of it, beautiful, top quality.
It's lovely, isn't it? The smell of it, the smell of hash is lovely. Like.
Some of it's beautiful. You know, I used to go up north to Manali and get the hand rub. Unbelievable stuff.
Yeah. So,
you want to sell? I said, yeah. Yeah, you want to buy? Yeah. How much? 10,000 US dollars a kilo.
Oh, no way. 10,000 US dollars a kilo?
Yes. The only other place I sold the same, I sold it in Australia also for 10,000 Australian dollars. But that was the first time ever somebody said to me, $10,000. I said, okay, click. Next time I go to India, I'm coming here with my dope.
How many bars is in a kilo?
A kilo's 1,000 grams, right? So it depends. In Britain, you used to sell like soap bars.
Yeah, soap bars, yeah.
But depending on the size, a soap bar could be 100 grams, 200 grams, up to 250 grams. There was always various sizes depending who you were buying from. Yeah. But I think it works out as 36 ounce in a kilo.
Wow. That's
so
a
even
lot.
In Britain,
a lot of money.
36 ounce, it used to be for top quality hash. In those years, you'd pay £100 an ounce.
Yeah, I was back whenever I was smoking it. I was paying roughly about $350 to $400 for a bar. But I think
so a bar is about what, 250 grams.
Yeah, roughly. Yeah.
Yeah. So as I say, different people do it different weights, from 100 to 200 to 250. Half kilo is 500, and the kilo is 1,000. So anyway, I'm back in India. So the first time I think, okay, 10,000. Oh, fuck it. Took 5 kilo. Half kilo in each shoe, 4 kilos strapped around my waist. Don't forget, no x-rays, no metal detectors in those days. No dogs. I just sailed right through.
Home free.
Home free. Went back to the place, said to the guys, I've got 5 kilo. I thought they would have said, oh, okay, maybe every week you can sell it. No, we'll take the 5 kilos now. Yeah, $50,000. Wait.
Oh.
Away to go. Somebody guy comes away, goes away. I'm sitting just smoking my dope. They're all like, yeah, man, Rasta, man, you know. Maybe an hour and a half later, a guy comes walking in, slap, $50,000. No, like, give us a discount. Can you reduce the price? No questions. There's the money.
Wow.
I was like, oh, this is fantastic. So off I go again. I think, okay, what do I do now? I thought, I think I'll go down to the Philippines. So I went, that was the first time I went down to the Philippines, and I met a lady I went to the British Embassy because I've got all this money. I put money in the bank. I had a safety deposit box in Hong Kong. So I took like over $10,000 with me down to the Philippines. Then I thought, maybe I should go to the British Embassy, ask them, can they keep this for me? And I went to the British Embassy and asked, and then they said, no, sorry, you can't leave your money here. I'm very sorry. And I just left. And I went to my hotel, lying in the hotel. The phone rings at reception. Mr. Campbell, somebody wants to see you downstairs. I don't know anybody in the Philippines. I've never met anybody in my life. From the British Embassy. I said, who? And then they must have spoke to the girl from the British Embassy. I go downstairs and there's this good-looking girl there, you know. Maybe, I guess her age would be maybe 22, 23. Oh, hello, Mr. Campbell. I said, oh, yeah, I remembered you at the reception at the embassy, at the consul's office. She said, well, maybe I can help you. Maybe I can keep your money for you. And if you want to go traveling around the Philippines, when you come back to Manila, I'll give it to you back again. So I don't know her, you know. So I said, yeah. She said, you want me to take you around and give you some sightseeing? She had a little Volkswagen Beetle. And I just drove around with her. We went to a restaurant. We had some food. It ended back at the hotel, and she spent the night with me. I thought, oh, I've knocked it right off, you know. Really good-looking girl and clever. So I said, can you not take a holiday? We'll go traveling around together. She said, I could probably take about a week's holiday, but no more than that. I have to go back to work tomorrow, and I'll talk with the Consul General, and maybe I can arrange for a week. So she did that, and both of us went traveling around. Went to this island called Boracay. You have to Google this. It's a beautiful island. I said, oh, I'd love to buy a house here or build a house. And she said, well, you can't do that because you're not Filipino. She said, but I can do it. I said, really? So bought a piece. No, didn't buy the land. Went back to Hong Kong. And maybe, let's say, done another run trip, then went back down to the Philippines maybe about 2 months later, met her again, and then we went back to that island and bought a piece of land. I built a house. I opened up a scuba diving school. I went back to Hong Kong, bought six sets of equipment, a big compressor, took it back to the island, and just laid it. I lay there for years. I never went anywhere. I never went smuggling again because I had a lot of money in my pocket.
So you were making money in this place, and were you married to this girl, or were you just living together?
We didn't even. Well, yeah, we did eventually live together, but not for long because I stayed because she didn't want to stay. It's a different mindset when you're a city boy or a city girl, especially out in Asia, and somebody wants to take you on a tropical island with palm trees, coconut trees, bananas and mangoes. No interested at all. Me and you are like, yeah, paradise. Yeah. Good morning, the big city. But no, she ended up staying there for about a month and said, okay, I want to go back. So she went back to her house in Manila. And I ended up staying, but I could only stay a month. And then I had to go up to, back to Hong Kong to renew the visa and come back again. But I was walking along the beach and I bumped into this guy, Filipino guy, Tata Pimentel, an incredible guy. Hey, can I use your scuba diving equipment? I said, yeah, sure. Him and two friends of his, and they were carrying pistols, you know, right gangsters. I let them use the scuba diving equipment. He said, anytime you come up to Manila, come to visit me. I said, yeah, well, I have to go up every month, you know. So I went up and I visited him. I said, where are you going now? I'm going to Hong Kong. I've got to renew my visa. Come with me. Took me to the immigration. Introduced me to this guy. Give him your passport. He got me a permanent residence. Permanent residence. Just like that. I can live there all my life now. I've got a permanent residence. And I had a Submariner Rolex watch at the time because I like diving. I just clicked, gave the guy the Submariner watch. He was like, oh, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. I have to go to Hong Kong every month and renew my visa and stuff like this. So it was a fair trade, you know. So I ended up just hanging about the island, go up north, buy a kilo of weed, come back down to the island, just smoking, meeting lots of travelers, go scuba diving. And I just sat about for a couple of years. I ended up staying there 5 years, but there maybe I stayed a couple of years through the rainy season, monsoons. So the money starts to go down because I spend a lot, you know. I used to even hire a plane, a Cessna, just to go up to Manila to buy food.
Wow.
Different food, because we had all the island food. Getting fresh lobster, fresh fish, no problem. But I wanted smoked sausages and champagne. Got money, so let's go.
Yeah, yeah.
So my money started to go down. Then I had to go back to Hong Kong again, do another trip. So I done another trip, made more money. Done another one, went down to Australia, took 5 kilos to Australia, sold that. That was another 50,000 Australian dollars. So it was an easy life, you know, carefree, easy. Then the story now with my son was, you want to, I phoned my brother in London.
So where are we up to now then? So that you've lived this life. What age are you now then when you're ringing?
Now I'm up to, so let's see, I'm 20, 30. So I've been about, as I say, I stayed roughly about 5 years in the Philippines. So I was, let's say 38.
38. Okay, and you ring your son up. You ring your son up to come over.
Yeah, but I'd already took him before, but it was just a normal traveling. You know, I met him in Thailand. Then we went to Bangladesh. Then we went to Burma. Then we went to Singapore. Then we went back to Thailand. Then he went home. Then I brought my other son. So the years are passing by. And my other son, I met him in Manila. Then we went to Hong Kong. Then from Hong Kong, we went to India. Hong Kong, we went to Nepal. Bought mountain bikes in Nepal. Cycled into India from Nepal. Sold the bikes in Delhi. Went up to see the Dalai Lama in Dharamsala.
Wow.
Come back down to Delhi. And then crossed into Pakistan. So this would be about 88. Then I took hash, not 20 kilos, I took 5 kilos, but I told him I'm taking the hash. He's only 16. No. Yeah, 16. That's right, 16. We arrive in Japan, give him money. He's having a great time. Then he goes back to the UK. Then my other son says, hey, you never took me there. You never. So I bring him out again, and that's the one we get arrested with. So I met him in Islamabad.
Yeah, so I'm just a wee thing to touch on there that's actually intriguing me. So you've done that exact same route to Japan to sell the hash, and you've done this route. You know this route. You're well traveled on this route. You know that you're not really going to get stopped. So we'll go into the story now of you and your son and the 20 kilos of hash. So start off. How did that come about then?
Yeah, well, as I just mentioned, that me and my other son had done it, right? And I had done it myself alone.
Yep.
Without him. And then I thought, okay, you want to go? I took him then that time. So the other son says, okay, I want to go. So I phoned London. My brother gave me his number. He said, your son's in London. I went, oh, great, give me the number. So I phoned him. And you want to come out to do a bit of traveling around the Karakoram Highway, up the Silk Road. We'll go through China. We'll go to Japan. He said, well, I've got a job and I've got a girlfriend. I said, okay, I just want to ask. I said, oh, no. Forget about it. I want to come. Okay. So he flew out and I met him in Islamabad. Met him at the airport in Islamabad. And we just traveled up to a place called Peshawar. It's in the northwest frontier. No man's land. It's all the Mujahideen and the rebels, everybody walks up. Everybody's got a Kalashnikov or an AK-47. It's wild man's land. But I've got a friend there, Atola. And because I'd been there many times and I would buy carpets from him and send them to my brother in London. So go into Atola's shop. He's got a big carpet shop. He gets out with the pipe. We're smoking the pipe, hubbly bubbly, and we get really stoned and all. Then I says, okay, I want 20 kilos of hash. He's like, and my son's like, huh? 20 kilos? I said, yeah, you don't have to get involved. I'll take it through. I've done it many times. So fair enough. Buys it 20 kilos of hash. But I'm so maybe overconfident because I've done it so many times. Okay, I've got the 5 kilos of hash in the false bottom suitcase. Nobody will ever find that. Then I've stuffed about 8 kilos, wrapped them up in T-shirts, dirty underwear, socks, stuffed them at the bottom of a bag, threw in pots, pans, forks, knives, plates. I mean, just if anybody looked through it, they'd just get fed up. It's just my way of thinking. They don't want to look through dirty underwear and socks and pots, pans. And so I fill that up with pots and pans. And then I've got a little day pack, just one of those little day packs, the small ones. Stuck 7 kilo inside there, not concealed, just wrapped in T-shirts, nothing to cover it up. And my son's like, whoops. He called it the Frankenstein bag. Anyway, we're driving through, hire the Jeep, go right up the Silk Road, up the Karakorums, stop at this place called Hunza Valley. Beautiful, you know, that's where the Aga Khan lived. Just a beautiful glaciers and just beautiful scenery. Okay, now let's head to the Chinese border. Get to the Chinese border, go through, now we're in China. Told you, no problem, it's easy. My son's like, woof, woof. So then we get a train. We travel from this town called Kashgar, and then from Kashgar to another town called Urumqi. And from Urumqi, you can take the train to Shanghai. To Shanghai. It's a 3-day journey. So we're sitting on the train, I've got a private cabin, sitting on the train. One day I'm thinking, you know, you're looking out the window from this side and it's 24 hours, 3 days, you know, I'm going outside the cabin, look out the other side. That's all I want to do. I just want to look out the other side, the cabin window, smoking a joint. The ticket guard comes walking along. Because you know the smell of hashish. No. I said, it's just a cigarette. So I go back into the cabin, tell my son, the guard just stopped me there. He knows it's hash. Well, maybe he doesn't know it's hash, but he knows it's not cigarettes.
Yeah.
So my son says, okay, shall we just throw the stuff out the window? I said, no. We'll just jump off at the next station. So we're just sitting in the cabin, still smoking away. Bang, 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 bang. Knock at the door. The same guard comes to the door. Ticket. I said, what? Ticket? And then he puts his hand to his nose again and says, no. I made a big mistake. I put my hand in my pocket and gave him a little lump of hash like this. And he takes a hash and he goes, because you can smell the hash because we're smoking in the cabin. So soon, no. Opium. I mean, no.
Opium?
Not opium.
Yeah.
No. Hashish. No opium. Give me your ticket. So I gave him my ticket. He just left. So then me and my son said, okay, let's get packed. We'll jump off at the next station. So that's what we did. The train stops. We got off at the next station. Walking towards the exit gate. My son pulls out his ticket. Goes through. I don't have a ticket. I gave it to that ticket guy.
Oh, no.
On the train. He never returned it. And they say, no, you can, no, ticket. The wallet out. Here, money. Here, take money. No ticket, money. No, ticket. And the guy from the train comes out the train, sticks his head out like this. And he shouts, I don't know what he shouts, but he goes, oh, hey! And the people at the ticket, they're soldiers with guns. They're also. Shit. So, no come through. Then the ticket guy comes walking down and starts whatever they were talking about. I have no idea. Okay, they took me and my son into the waiting room at the station. And we're just sitting down. So I told you about the small bag where nothing is hidden.
Yep.
So there was a guard at the door, but facing outward, so he's not looking at me. And I'm just watching him take it out of the bag, stick it under the chair next to me. I'm sitting on, just underneath it. Close my legs, just sit there. Unknowns to me, there's another lady inside the room. And she could see through the glass, like an office.
Oh,
and he took them out. And she called to the guard, "Hey!" And then pointed to under this chair. They come over, they find the hash, right? Okay. Then they take me and my son to a detention, or like a jail cell or something, or a police station. And of course, I've already found this hash. And then they called the PSB, Public Security Bureau. And then they came asking questions, and where'd you get this, and where'd you get that, and this, and this. I said, "Oh, I just met this guy in Kashgar, and he asked me to take this to his friend in Shanghai, but I don't really know what it is." You know, trying to make up a story on the spot. And then the following day, the PSB from Shanghai came and took us on the train to Shanghai, and put us in a detention center. So they have got the stuff that's underneath the chair. But I told you the 5 kilos is in the suitcase. That will never be found.
Yeah.
Then they asked me to itemize. You take your property out of the bag. You've got to itemize it all, and they're writing it down. And there's a big high desk, you know, maybe a bit above my head, and I'm standing down there, and the policeman's sitting behind the desk, and he's writing down everything. And I get to the bottom of the bag, and of course the hash is still there, wrapped up. I just left it. It was one of those bags that collapses, you know.
Yep.
Okay, put everything back in the bag again. I put everything back in the bag. So then they took me to a cell. Took my son in a different, I don't know where they took him, but obviously to another cell. And in my imagination, I'm thinking, oh, cockroaches and rats and this, so they'll smell that and then they'll try to eat it. Oh, just some crazy imaginations.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Then they took, the next morning, took me down to interrogation. They sat me on a chair. It was like a barber's chair, but it had wooden handles and your hands were strapped in like you were sort of a handcuff like this.
Yeah.
And then he started asking me questions, this, and where do you get that, and who gave you this, and we know your son's involved. But I'd already told my son, you just don't talk about anything. You say, I don't know nothing. I'm just traveling with my father. So he must have stuck to the story. So they're interrogating me. Then they put on a film. And you see these trucks driving along a road. And then they turn into a stadium. Stadium gate open. There's a crowd there, like a football match, you know. Take 6 people out of the back of the truck, 2 women, 4 men. They have a placard on their chest, written in Chinese. That's the crime they committed, written in Chinese on their chest. Marched them along in front of everybody. Kicked them in the back of the leg and bang, 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 bang. Shot the 6 of them in the head.
Oh.
Not with a handgun, with a rifle. Just down, bang, 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 bang.
For hash?
Yeah.
For drugs or the
They never had hash. Maybe they only had, maybe they stole money. In China, you can be executed for stealing a car. There was one guy in my cell get executed for stealing a lump of copper wire from a railway station because it could have endangered people's lives. There's guys get executed for dumping stuff in the river, polluting the river. You can be executed. Stealing a car, small. If you're a government official, a Communist Party member, it can be a small corruption, but they'll execute you. So execution is not a big thing there. You know, it's not really a big thing. So they're telling me, if you don't confess, this is what's going to happen to you. So I was like, oh. And I'll be honest, I was really, really terrified. Then, maybe as I say, after 10 days, the British consul came, told me that my son had been released. Then I knew, because he'd sent money from Japan, that he must have taken hash. But of course, in my mind, he must have taken the suitcase. That's what my mind tells me, because it's safe. But later on, I discovered that he didn't. He took the difficult one. So anyway, the British consul come, and they also tell me, the newspaper in the UK, British man may be executed in China, I don't know nothing about fucking being executed. I'm thinking to myself, I've got a lump of hash. At the maximum, I was thinking, maybe if I get 4 years, I'll be like, oh shit, 4 years. And still I'm thinking, Western thinking, but I've got remission and I might get out in 2. That was all my dreaming. Then, after about 8 months, they come in and give me my indictment. Death sentence. Life sentence. Minimum sentence, 15 years. That's the minimum sentence. Number 1 is death. Number 2 is life. Number 3 is 15.
What the fuck?
What the fuck is this, you know? I had no idea. I was really thinking, you know, like 4 years. So eventually I go to court, standing up in the court, and I'll be honest with you. I mentioned this before when I was talking to someone else. My ass was flapping like a choking goldfish.
I'm sure it was.
But I'm trying to keep a straight face, you know. But the back end was like. Then when he says 15 years, I swear to God, I thought, yes. You know, the mind's thinking you're getting shot. I've just watched all these people being shot. They say 15 years. I went, that's not bad. Then I went down into the cell. I'm waiting. Then your mind starts thinking, 15 years for a lump of hash?
It's crazy.
Oh my God, that's terrible. How can they give you 15 years for a lump of hash? So 10 minutes before, I'm thinking, yes, because I never get shot.
Mm-hmm.
And 10 minutes later, I'm thinking, oh, that's very severe. So how quickly your mind can flip, you know?
Of course, yeah, 100%. Like, you're thinking to yourself, I'm just going to maybe state the obvious here. You're thinking to yourself, you don't know what prison you're going to go into. You don't know where you're going to go. Maybe death would be better than 15 years in a hellhole. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I did think about that after, you know, because I knew things about in America, people on death row for 20 years. My God, you know?
Crazy.
So better in my mind that, I would rather just be shot or a lethal injection. But when I was actually there under that circumstances, no, my mind totally changed. Oh, no. I'll stay in jail.
Just a quick question for you. I know you're gonna tell us about your time in the prison, but at any time in the prison, did you think that you could escape, or did you plan an escape, or did you want to escape?
Yeah, I did think about it once, but that was later on because I spent 6.5 years in one prison. Then I get transferred to a new prison. And that was in the country, a little bit in the countryside. And they had a veranda in your cell. You could go at the back room, the room, there was a door. You could open a door and there was a small veranda. You could sit outside. You can't imagine a veranda inside you. Come on. Are you crazy? No, had a veranda. And you could look out the veranda. There was bars that bent over like this, like in a hoop like that. But you could look out and see the fields and stuff. So that was the first time escape ever came into my mind. But I never tried. But that was the first time.
Right, so briefly,
I get 15 years.
Yeah.
Then I go to the main prison, and I'm carrying this 5 kilos of hash in a suitcase into the prison with me.
Yeah.
But I feel safe and secure because not easy to find. But I still didn't want to have it there. So I contacted my youngest son. Well, my oldest son and my youngest son. But my youngest son says, and my oldest son said, Lockie wants to come out and see you. That's my youngest son's name. So he's, by this time, I think he's 17. He's only 17. And he arrives out, comes up to visit me. We have a little chat. Okay, next visit is in maybe 3 days, 4 days' time. I'm going to give you Scott's luggage. Scott left his luggage here, and he left with mine. So I'll just give you this luggage, okay? And I had a little video camera as well. I'll give you all that out. So we had to arrange that with the prison department. Next visit, so they have to sign a paper. Okay, Campbell, give the luggage out. So I gave the luggage out to my son. And I'm waiting for the final. I was only getting 3 visits. I'm waiting for the final visit. 4 days, 5 days, and I speak with the old guy, Jing Fung. I said, not any messages from my son. Oh, he says, you know, the Communist Party, everything takes time, red tape, don't worry, you'll get a visit tomorrow. So next day, Campbell, office. Go into the office. There's 10 PSB guys there, high ranking, all the bars and stripes and stuff. Yes? Your son has been arrested. What? Why is my son being arrested? You know why. You gave him drugs from the prison. No. I didn't have any drugs. I cannot admit this because definitely I would have got shot. That's 100%. No. I never gave any drugs. That bag that he took out of there actually is not mine. You can check it. The clothing inside is for my younger son, my other son. And the style of clothing, the size of clothing wouldn't fit me. And it's true. That was true. Mm-hmm. But they kept on and on and on. And they come back the next day and the next day and the next day. But there's no way I was going to confess to it. So unknowns to me, my son, well, I know he's in the detention center, but I don't know how long they're going to keep him. And I don't know if they will send him to prison. But it was definitely clear that he never had drugs. The drugs that they found definitely came from me from inside the prison. And that caused so much flack. You cannot believe. The chain of command is all pointing fingers. You interrogated them and you held them in the detention center and they all want to blame each other because it's not very good for your career if you've let somebody slip through the detention center 10 months and into the main prison and still nobody discovered it. And in the prison, the triads in the prison, in my wing, Blackfish, oh, they loved me. Oh my God. It was like I was the best guy that they've ever met in their life because I outsmarted them. I took the dope. So they just embraced me, you know, really, really took to me because
the
mutual, I defeated their mutual enemy and everybody knew about it. It would spread through the whole of fucking China. Oh, this fucking foreign guy come into the prison with 5 kilos of hash. What? Just spread because people get transferred all over, you know.
Sorry just to interrupt you. There's a common theme that I've noticed when I'm speaking to guys like yourself that have been through similar experiences. There's always one standout moment in the prison where the triads or another gang, you've done something that impresses them and now you become sort of like a legend in the prison.
Oh yeah.
It's like a common theme. In the jail itself, were you involved with the triads? Were you in a gang? Yes. Or were you an independent?
Yeah, no. My brother in London sent me a parcel. It was I can't even tell you. There was about 20, you know, all fancy logo T-shirts and stuff like that. He sent me 100 razor blades, G1 or G2 blades, maybe with 5 sticks. He sent me soaps from the Body Shop. He sent me 100 cassettes. He sent me 100 pens, red, yellow, blue, green, all just multicolors. And some of those pens, you can click it and it goes red, then click and it goes blue. So there's 3 in the one, right?
Yeah.
So I had all these T-shirts, razor blades, pens, cassettes. The triads were like, oh. They called me Lauda, Big Boss. That's what they nicknamed me. Lauda.
Big Boss.
Big Boss.
Wow. That's crazy. And were you in control of a triad gang in the prison?
No. They took me under their wing.
Right. Okay.
What they wanted, if I could assist, I would assist.
Okay.
I wasn't a boss, but because I'm a foreigner, Lauda, you should shout Lauda, Big Boss, because outsmarted the cops, got all this precious commodities, pens. Pens is precious commodity in the jail, just a pen. They don't really shave much, but some, you know, Chinese don't have much hair, but some do. Got a razor blade, perfume, good soap, so many. A visit from their wife, slip in a bar of body shop soap. They've never seen anything like that. T-shirts, where to the visit, you know, like, oh yeah, yeah.
Well, Lockie, a lot of people don't realize is that obviously not deviating from the story, but a lot of people don't realize is the prison that you were in and the sort of environment that you were in is a lot different from, say, Western prisons. You were in sort of like a communist-run prison.
Black and white.
Could you elaborate on that just a little bit, just briefly, so the viewers know the differences?
Yeah, well, okay, I'll give you an example of a daily routine. 6 o'clock in the morning, there's speakers on the wall. Bang! Mayo, gongs and Daniel, Mayo sings on go, gongs and Dan. No Communist Party, no New China. Mao Zedong, all propaganda about China. That wakes you up first thing in the morning. Mayo, gongs and Daniel, Mayo sings on go. And everybody, la, 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 la. Fuck's sake, man, I just woke up and you've got this in your ears. Maybe around about 6:10, 6:15, when some music stops, click, 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 click. The door's open. Inside your cell, the cell is 8 foot by 3 foot. You sleep in the floor, there's no bed, okay? Inside the cell, there's a wooden bucket, we call it a tong, quite a big bucket. You piss and you sit in that bucket. Open up, let's say 6:15. They give you water in a plastic basin. And you can you brush your teeth, wash your face. Then that excess water, you just put it in your shit bucket. Then maybe 6:40, you come out of your cell. There's a big, long, giant table. Everybody sits at the table. You get rice gruel, which is watery rice, maybe some pickled cucumber, maybe a bit of pickled carrot, and maybe a chili. That's your breakfast. So it's not much nourishment there, but that's what you get. Then after breakfast, back into your cell, sit there. We had to sit in the cell maybe till about 9 o'clock. Then open us up. Then you take the shit bucket, not only one, because they made the foreigners do that job. We would carry 4 big shit buckets at a time, down 3 flights of stairs into a yard, and it had a big trowel, and you just poured the shit into the big trowel. Then there was somebody there with a hose, and they hose the inside down, then back upstairs, put the buckets back in the cells, and then you could go out and sit at that table all day.
So that's a pretty crazy routine in the prisons. So then, you were sentenced to 15 years, but you done 12. And what was it like? So your stay in the prison was good. Obviously, it was quite comfortable for you. Was there any moments in jail where it was quite dodgy? Your life was threatened, or anything like that?
Well, I wouldn't say my life was comfortable in jail. Not at all. I was an 8 foot by 3 foot cell.
Okay.
And the psychological problems there was, I'm on the 3rd floor, and the floor below us is death row. The people on the floor below will be executed, guaranteed, within 10 days.
Wow.
That's the law.
That's crazy.
And when you go down the stairs, there was a black box that you could, I would go inside. The death row prisoner goes inside. And he can write a letter to his family. Farewell letter. Then they ask him, you want to donate your heart? You want to donate your liver? Do you want to donate your kidney? And if you donate whatever organs you want, up to you, or you say no. If you say no, they're still going to take them. Yeah. If you say yes, you maybe get a chicken leg, for a farewell meal. So that was quite traumatic for me. The table I'm talking to you, we sat at, you could look through the bar window to the next building. That was 2 things. That was also death row on the top floor. But they had death row with one chance of getting their sentence commuted to life. So they wouldn't be sentenced to death. They had one more chance to go back to court. But from what I know, the percentages was maybe 1 in 10. 1 in 10 got commuted to life. The other 9 would be executed. So, and from the window, we could see outside down into the yard. And you would see them, they tie them with rope around their neck and their hands behind their back. And you can hold them by the neck like that, right? And And then that's them going to be executed. As soon as they've got the rope around them, now they're going to be shot. So seeing that, yeah, I don't know how to explain it to you. You're looking at somebody who's going to die within the next hour or 2 hours. They're going to die. And it's quite a difficult thing to accept, you know.
I think with yourself, Lockie, you're a man of the world. You've traveled around the world. You've met so many good people. You're a very people person. You know, you've done the hippie trail, the LSD, the drugs, the stuff like that, and you love to be around nice, genuine people. So to go from that, even though that you were in prison for a wee while, you're seeing these people being executed. It's not your okay. We're not saying that you can't handle yourself. You can handle yourself like the best of them, but it's not your thing that you would that you want to be around at the end of the day. It's not many people would, but especially for yourself, you're quite a people person, so you don't want to be around that, and that is going to leave you with scars and stuff, and it's not a nice thing to be.
I've had dreams about it.
Not
much, but they have came. But you were asking about fighting and stuff like trouble. I get into a few boxing matches. There was a guy, I named him Sanwo 555 because he used to, I don't know why, but if you smoke Marlboro or you 555 is the name of a packet of cigarettes, John Player's special, it's like a big status, you know. For us, it's like just a packet of cigarettes. For them, it's like imported cigarettes, you know. So I ended up, because he was really arrogant, we used to play, sometimes we could get downstairs, there was a basketball court there, and we could play 3-a-side football. And he was always fouling, you know. I had a little Chinese guy in my side, and he always used to kick him as well. Like, I ended up just hooking him, and me and him had a fight, and he bust all his eye. And then, of course, you get punished for that. You get locked up, you know, solitary confinement. So solitary confinement for 10 days. Sometimes there was another little guy there used to steal our food, you know. One of his fingers was half missing. I used to joke, the Yakuza got you because you're a little thief, you get your finger chopped off with the Yakuza, you know. But me and him used to argue. Being a foreigner, and one of the biggest barriers is, of course, the language.
Yes.
But of course, I learned how to talk Chinese, but you don't learn overnight. It takes a long time.
Yeah.
And but when I learned how to speak the language, the only words I used was cuss words. I never used a polite word ever, because that's all they ever spoke. They never say hi, good morning. They always say nyana sopi, chodin nyana sopi, ohana ni, bum bum ma. No, it was always aggressive. So that was all the Chinese vocabulary I learned them. Now I can speak. Well, I learned how to speak polite Chinese and ask nice things. But at the beginning, no. So well,
two questions have just in my head there. One, you hear a lot of from different prisons from around the world. There's a lot of rape. Two, what was the hole like? You're in the hole. You're in solitary confinement.
Well, the first one you mentioned, rape, does not exist in a Chinese jail. If you wouldn't believe. See, like the Western jail is like a nursery. I'm telling you, it's like a fucking nursery in the comparison to the discipline in these places. Even talking out of turn, you can be cattle prodded. You use cattle prods. If you fight with somebody, you're definitely getting cattle prodded. But because I was a foreigner, they didn't do it to me, but the other guy got it. If you get caught smoking a cigarette, you can lose remission. A cigarette. There's no smoking in Chinese jails. Nothing. No smoking. Nothing. But of course, the triads, black market, they can get things in. But you had to be very discreet. Wait till you're locked up and have a smoke. You couldn't smoke during the day. So the discipline was so strong. They call in the prison, they call it Shishangaizo, ideological remolding, or in English, brainwashing. It's constant. I told you first thing in the morning, that's the first thing in the morning. Every single week, you have to write an ideological report. Thoughts? What's your thoughts? And of course, you try to make up stories because you can't say something negative. So we always wrote something like, the Communist Party in the prison, the guards try to educate us, they try to help us, and the food is good. And because if you had money, every week you could buy fresh fruit. And you could also buy like a chicken from the kitchen and tins of fruit and stuff like that. But you had to pay for it. So that's a big, that's a luxury if you have money.
Yeah. Did you ever spend time in solitary confinement?
Oh, a few times. Oof. I done some mad things, like San Wo. That was solid. That was only for 1 week. Then I had a fight with one of the foreigners also. Stuck a chopstick in his eye because he stole the chili. That was confinement again for another 10 days. Wow. Then there was another foreigner who used to drive me fucking crazy, an American. Boom. I nearly broke his leg. That was solitary confinement for a month, and they even put me into the fucking lunatic ward. They took me into the hospital and locked me up in a psychiatric ward for a month because that was 3 times, I fought with San Wo, the Chinese guy, fought with the other British guy, then fought with the American. And I always gave abuse to, I told you, some of the other guys used to steal the fruit and stuff. And what's solitary confinement like? Is it dark? You're not no light. You're given very minimal food. What is it? What is that like? No, it depends. I was in separate places. In the first jail, because I went to solitary confinement in the new jail as well. But in the first jail, you're just kept inside your cell. So you can't go out, and then they just bring the food to you. And there's somebody sits outside your cell. One of the Chinese guys sits on a stool, and they sit facing you, just in case you want to commit suicide or something. I guess that's what the reason is that. So you're just deprived of being able to walk about, and you've got to stay in your cell. And you can't wash. They don't give you water in the morning. You can't brush your teeth. God. So you don't get any. That's a privilege to be able to wash yourself. And you shit in your bucket for a week. You don't get to empty it. So you're shitting in your bucket for a week. So high humidity. High humidity too. Oof. Humidity? Oh, God. Oof. Could just imagine. Just dripping off your eyelashes, dripping down your nose, sweat running down your back. Hundreds of mosquitoes. You get bites all over you, because they don't give you any protection, Wooden floor. Lie on the floor. And that's it. Wow. So solitary confinement's not good. Then it's a bit later on when I went to the other prison, they handcuffed me up with one hand. Handcuffed me to the cell door with just one hand and on my tiptoes. And I had to stay like that all night. So trying to get a bit of release, get your feet on the ground. The cuff digs into your hand. Get back on your tiptoes. Oh, no, you get the relief from your hand. But you can't stay there too long. You're going down and up and down and up all night. Oh my God, that was terrible. Wow. Handcuffed to that. Wow. But that's Lockie. That is. You could just do a separate podcast on your prison stay because that is gruesome. A lot of people don't realize the differences. What you went through in those prisons is horrific, absolutely horrific. But what was it like then coming near the end of your stay? Did you get excited? Did you know? Yeah. Did you know that you were 6.5 years? Sorry, carry on. No, sorry. I was just saying. Did you know that you were getting out early? Did they just randomly say you're getting out? What way does that work? That's one of we call that in Chinese dojang mixing the glue. They drive you nuts. There's no set remission. There's no remission in China. You get resentenced, right? And there's a process. Okay. So they call it reward and punishment. So if you do good, no get into trouble, you can get like up to maybe 8 points a month. They give you 8 points. So 12/8 is 96. You only need 90 points. You need 90 points. But 2 years in a row. You don't, not the first year. The first 4 years, you get nothing. After 4 years, then you can start to get these points. So you get up to like, oh, the first time I got my 90 points, and they give you a little certificate, you know. I'm like, yes, Qigong, it's called a Qigong. A certificate of achievement. Campbell got a Qigong. You get to, so now I only need one more. You see? Next, if I do it again next year, 2 of them, you can get a reduction. The judge comes to the jail and resentences you again. The judge. So I've got the first year in. I'm halfway through the second year. Bang, have a fight with somebody. Bing, you lose the 2 Qigongs. Lost them. God. Start all over again. I mean, for fuck's sake. So I was in there at least, I think it must have been about 6 years. And eventually got 10-month reduction. But the ass kissing I had to do and the fucking bullshit I had to write reports about blessed Mao Zedong, and I went to a workshop and worked in a workshop making jackets that was exported to America, exported to Russia, exported to Japan. I've got it all documented in my book. The name of the companies they were going to. Big Ivan was in Russia. There was a couple in California. And I logged it because I'm in the workshop and you have an order sheet from the company and it's in English or Russian. And the translators up the stair, they had a translating department. So we could read it, you know, where they were going. And I used to take notes. So
they're basically using you as slave labor then.
Yeah. You can't believe it. You can't believe it. Made in China, but Russian company, French company, Big Ivan. Also, there was a London company also. So I logged it all and put it all in the book. The names of the companies, everything. But that was me working. I mean, I was working like 12 hours a day, you know, because they've got an assignment and it's got to be finished. This has got to be finished in, let's say, 10 days or 1 month or whatever. 2,000 of this. And cut with the threads, snipping the threads. And I only get 10-month reduction. In my imagination, I was thinking, I'm getting 2 years, you know, they're going to knock 2 years. They gave me 10 months. And after that, I just thought, stick your communist thinking up your fucking ass. I'm doing nothing. That was it.
So you would be
transferred to the new jail.
So you would then be, in your opinion, communism, what you went through is bad. Communism is a bad thing.
Oh, it's a good question, that actually. There's some good points. In theory, it's very good. Lots of it is good. But practically, it's a load of nonsense. It just sounds good. And if you were living there, you would see for yourself. They're not sharing everything. You'll read articles about Mao Zedong, the 100 Flowers. It's a fantastic story, you know. Go out to the countryside, the collective. You grow vegetables, he catches fish, they grow food. We're a commune. Share. I give you fish, you give me fruit. I give you vegetables, you give me rice. It's a fantastic philosophy, a great way of thinking. But in reality, it's not real. It's not true. It's just a load of nonsense. It sounds good, but in reality, it's not.
I would agree with you. I would agree with you on that. So where are we up to now then? So
I'm getting transferred to a new prison.
New prison, yes.
And this prison has got full-length football field. It's in the countryside. Amazing. Grass all around, trees, basketball court. The room, or maybe it was 8, but this room would be maybe about 10 by 8, like nearly 3 times the size of the other cell. Have a bed, a little cabinet at the side to put your clothes on or anything you want, a little dressing table, and a veranda. What's going on, man? And outside of that, on the corridor, there's a shower. You can have a hot shower. Oh.
Anytime?
Once a day. Not anything. Once a day. And flushing toilet. No more buckets. You know, there's toilets there.
That must have been like heaven. That must have been like heaven.
Oh, it was unbelievable. You really actually felt that, oh, it's good to be here. That's how your mind works, because you're in this dark, dismal place, rat and cockroach infested, and you go to this brand new building, just built, brand new, never been used before. We're the first prisoners ever to go there. And basketball court, football ground, running track. Whoa, this is brilliant. So it was a lot better, but the ideological remolding became more focused a lot on getting into your mind, you know? Like the very first, I wrote it down. Oh, I forgot to you always have to take notes. Every time you have a meeting, everybody gets a notebook. And you have to write notes, what they're talking about at the meeting.
Yeah.
So the first meeting with the warden of the prison in Chingpu was, Chingpu prison is a modern civilized prison with a strong emphasis on cultural values. And you're listening, oh, that's fantastic, you know. But again, it was just bullshit, you know, but it sounds good. But I never, because I wrote that down, and I'd been there over 6.5 years in the first prison. Now I'm in this new prison, and there's nothing to do. There's no jobs. The only job we could get, maybe sometimes we go out into the football field and lift the weeds, you know, take the weeds away and stuff like that. But most of the time you're just sitting in your cell. So I wrote, and you've got to write a report if you want something. So I wrote a report. I said, when I arrived in Chingpu prison, the warden said it's a modern civilized prison with strong emphasis on cultural values. One thing I would like to do is I would like to learn how to paint. So they would report, and then eventually, maybe 2 weeks later, they call you into the office. Okay, they agree that you can paint. So then when the next British consul visit came, I asked them, okay, can you buy me canvas, oils, paints, brushes? So they bought me everything. And then they brought it up to the prison. So I could sit in my cell and paint, or sit out in my little veranda, you know, and sit there painting. And I didn't know how to paint. I've never painted in my life before. But I just get into it. And a friend of mine's, strangely enough, the friend who came to my house in Glasgow and we went to London, then we done all the trip through Europe, he sent me a painting, an artist called Thomas Kincaid, Paintings of Radiant Light is the name of the book. And I used to look at these and copy them. And then before you know it, maybe after about a year, some of the guards were saying, oh, can you make a painting for me? Or can you make a... And then the prisoners were going, hey, can you make a painting for me? Because I could do them fantastic. You can see them on my Facebook page, Lockie Brushstrokes. Some of the paintings are beautiful, you know.
Yeah, just to interject, guys, just to interject, there will be a bit of a promo before this and this, but Lockie does have a book coming out on www.badboysbooks.net. If you want to read his whole story, you can get that. You can buy that there. I will be getting it. I can't wait to read it. Also, he has other podcasts with Steve Wraith, and you have a Daily Motion documentary. I'll leave all the links for that in the description and the comment section of this video. But were you starting like a small business then? Were you getting paid for these paintings, or? Yeah, unofficially, yes, because you're not allowed to trade. There's a part in the book, you'll read it. It's called the 10 Don'ts. I'll not mention it. You just read it, 10 Don'ts, and that's one of the don'ts. Okay. No trading, right? And but with the prisoners, like there was a guy from Mexico came in, and then there was another guy from Malaysia, and there was a guy from Australia, and he's, oh, can you do a painting for me? You know, it's my anniversary, or it's my son's birthday, whatever reason. So I could paint them and I just give them to them, but they would maybe buy me a jar of coffee, you know, because you get canteen. Right. So every month, so they would buy a jar of coffee, give it to me. Or in the season, you could buy boxes of apples, not an apple. They give you a box. If you want watermelons, you could buy 50, 60, 70 kilos at a time. They don't mind doing business. You're getting money. So we could get lots of fruits.
coffee, packets of noodles, biscuits. In this second prison, they even opened up a shop so that we could learn how to go shopping, you know. And we go to a supermarket and with a little card and you put it through the machine like you would in a normal shop.
It's just, there's something standing out to me there. It's the irony of it all. It's how sort of a small capitalistic economy can flourish in a communist sort of society.
Spot on.
It's really strange, that, isn't it? How regardless of what political system you're living in, it always will come down to money and the capitalistic side of things. But that's maybe for a different podcast. That the irony.
You're spot on. You know, you're correct. You know, going shopping is a good business. You know.
Yep.
And they made it easy for us. You know, have to be the first prison was rat, cockroach infected, shit bucket, 8 by 3 foot cell, smelly, rotten, death row, horrible experience. Then you go to this brand new place. It's still a prison, but the environment was clean. You had a football park, as I said, and then you can painting. You know, it's like, whoa, it's a sense of freedom, you know. And then like exchanging some paintings and stuff like that. So it wasn't the bad experience from that jail was the ideological remolding. Yeah, they heavily pushed it on you. You know, have to constantly write reports and stuff like this. And you would have visiting committees coming, maybe some political figures or some guards from a different prison in a different city. And they come round because we foreigners were like, ooh, like something special at the zoo, you know. Oh, look at all those white people, you know. Yeah. And they want to sort of show you off. So when the visiting committee was coming around, oh, watermelon on the table, or oranges on the table, coffee on the table, so that everybody could see it. Normally you've got it inside your little cupboard. Get the coffee out, get your melons out, put them on the table. The visiting committee, well, you foreigners are treated very well. Then as soon as they go, right, throw it back in again.
Get him back into the cell. Get him back into the cell. Yeah.
But we didn't mind that. Didn't mind it. It's just how it goes. You've got to follow it. If you want to get out as early as possible, you've got to follow their system. I went against it too many times. As I told you, you build up, and I got the 2 chi gongs, and I'm ready to get a reduction. Bang, I have a fight. Start from the beginning again. So it's at least another 2 years I've got to do good. Don't get in trouble for 2 years, right? And this time, this is the worst event that ever happened to me. I'd done an anti-drug. I'd done an anti-drug exhibition inside the. I've got the posters here inside my computer. I'll send you them. I'd done 20 paintings, anti-drug. Oh, the warden, all the PSB, they were like, they're going to show this to the world, you know. We've got a foreigner in here, and he's actually put on an anti-drug exhibition, right? And it's in my old friend Jing Fung done the writing on the top of it in Chinese, and I'd done the writing underneath it in English, like drug addiction, refuse drugs, cherish life, you know, different slogans. Going through customs, being arrested, promoting, destroying opium poppies. I've done 20. Guys with machine guns, the drug cartel. I'll show you it sometime, right? So that means Li Gong. I told you before, Qi Gong. Now, I've done this anti-drug exhibition. I'm going to get a Li Gong. A Li Gong automatically means 2 years reduction.
Oh, brilliant.
Because I'm doing something really special, right? So while I'm doing the exhibition, I've done 2 other paintings. You maybe have heard of this guy. My brother was part of the Glasgow 2. He got life in prison for 6 murders of the Doyle family. But he was acquitted as a miscarriage of justice. And his co-accused is a guy called Joseph Steele. And he also escaped, met 3 times at least from the prison. One time he went to, you might know about this, he superglued himself to Buckingham Palace gates. I
think I heard about that, yeah.
Yeah, you can Google it.
Yeah.
He superglued to promote his innocence. So that really helped my brother also. My brother went on a fast. He didn't eat. So I've done 2 paintings. One of Joe super glued to the Buckingham Palace gates. And one of my brothers sitting in a lotus position inside the cell with shackles and a ball and chain on his leg, but like a skeleton, because he didn't eat. He went on a fast for justice.
Mm-hmm.
So I hand those two paintings. I'm getting a visit from the British consul,
mm-hmm.
and I want them to send them back to the UK.
Mm-hmm.
So I take them into the office. Half an hour later, Campbell, yeah, comes in. He shows me the paintings. You don't have shackles. I said, no, I don't have shackles. Why you put shackles? It's not me. It's my brother. No good, no good. Then the other one, like crucified onto the Buckingham calendar. Why you? And then, no. You cannot send them. You cannot send them. I just went, oh, stick your communist fucking thinking up your ass. But I said it in Chinese. Locked. That's when I got hung up with the arm. So that's me told them, because I just want to send two paintings, one for my brother and one for my brother's friend Joe Steele. Yeah. And they're saying, no. I just lost the plot. I said, stick your communist thinking up your ass.
Wow.
Locked
fair
up.
Fair play.
Handcuffed up. My Lee gun, nothing. I get nothing. Just with that one outburst. Lost the 2 years.
Oh my God.
So sometimes, I don't know, you get frustrated and tensions build up. And I hated this little screw anyway. He was a real pain in the ass. His name is Mr. Jang. I've wrote about him in the book. I call him a bad man. That's the name of the chapter. A bad man. He was a terrible, horrible human being. Mm-hmm. You know, so that was me. I lost my Lee gun. So you just got to wait, you know, that's at least 2 years again. But at 10 months, I think I was there something like nearly 10 years, and they gave me another 10 months. So that's me now get 20 months. And the last year before leaving, they gave me 1 year. So the total amount I got was, I done 12, I get 2 years, 8-month reduction of my sentence. So I done 12 years, 4 months.
There's a lot of head messing about there where you don't know what's going on. You're getting a reduction, then you're not getting a reduction, and then it's. I couldn't imagine how that, because for humans it's like we know where it starts, middle, and then the end. Even if it's 10 years, 20 years, we know that there's an end. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. With this situation, it's like you don't know when the light's coming.
You don't know.
You don't know. So what was it like then to actually get out of the prison and see your family again? Oh,
that was incredible, mate. So my younger brother in London, the one that sent the big parcel with the pens and all that sort of stuff, he sent me over a beautiful suit, you know, a cracking pair of shoes, shirt, tie. Because I know 1 year before I'm going out in 2003, December the 5th, I've got my date. That's for sure. So he sent me that suit and stuff. And then the day before you go out, right, get the suit all in your cell, lay it all out, then wake up in the morning, put the suit on. Oh, man. And you know you're leaving, you know. It's a fantastic feeling. And all the other prisoners are like, you know, yeah, good luck, and, you know, wishing you well. And then call downstairs, go outside. There's a van inside the yard. And I've got all these paintings under my arms because I took home, I think, 167 paintings that I'd done. I had a big ball, you know, just like all rolled up. It was like that. Mm-hmm. And then into the yard, then just turning around, looking up at the cells, and then just waving to the guys, you know, go into the van. And I remember this. You remember that? It's a long way to go. John Lennon, A Hard Road to Hoe. Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, that song was running through my head. I'm on the way to the airport, you know. I arrive at the airport. I'm escorted, of course. Go into the airport. The smell just smells like freedom. People passing by, perfumes. One of those things you've not smelled for a long time. Cigarette smoke even. But then going through the immigration, I didn't have a passport. They gave me a sheet of paper from the British consul to be able to travel. So I just did a piece of paper. They stamped that paper. Then now I'm into the departure lounge. And that's everything's there. Duty-free, whiskey, cigarettes, perfume. And I just sat there, you know, just looking around. I didn't have much money. I had, because the British consul brought me some money. They took the Chinese money and converted it. I think I had about £40 or something. Just enough to get me, when I arrived in London, to get me home, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then, so I arrived and sitting. Then time to get onto the plane and you're walking towards the plane. And I'm on the plane now. It just feels surreal. And then the plane takes off and you can watch a movie, right? Or you know how the little TV's on the back of the chair? The movie I watched was called Anger Management, Jack Nicholson.
Brilliant movie.
I just cried. The tears were flooding, snot running down my... It was just so funny. It was exactly the same as that jail. It was fucking madness.
Yeah.
And it just made, I could relate with all those mad things that was happening in that place in Anger Management. And people were looking at me and I'm, you know, but it was a great experience. And then they come around with alcohol and food. Oh no, I eat the food, but no alcohol. I don't want to touch anything. Then I arrive in London. They pulled me aside and they asked me, have you got any problems with the British government? Have you got any problems with the Chinese government? Who are you? You know, I don't even know who they are. I said, no, I've got no problems with anyone. So they just let me go through and I go into the arrival hall. A friend of mine's Jeff Ferranti and my son Scott were there waiting for me. Yeah, how's it going? How's it going? And, you know, great. Yeah, it was a fantastic feeling. Then went into Bethnal Green. That's where my brother and his wife Vonnie lived, and two sons, Josh and Jason. And they go into the house, and you know, just to be with people who you know, and whatever food you want. Then they say, "Okay, come on, let's go to the pub." They think I'm dying for a beer. You know,
You're not.
Some cocaine. Yeah. So I arrive in the pub, sit down, bang, the cocaine's on the table. Bang, whiskey, vodka, brandy, whatever. Drink up here, joints here. Have a line of that. No. I don't smoke. What? You don't smoke? I didn't smoke for all those years, you know. I'm not going to start now.
Yep, just right.
I don't drink either, because me, I've not drank for all those years. I thought, no, I don't really want to smoke and I don't want to drink. And I certainly don't want any cocaine. They're looking at me like, fuck's sake, Lockie, what happened to you? You were always snorting and puffing and drink. Yeah, that was a long time ago. Sorry, I don't want. But they were really nice about it. And my brother-in-law, Jim McLaren, just went, put a lump in my hand. Here, take that. Gave me a few £100, you know. He said, you'll need that. You'll need that. So, oh, thanks, Jim. Then I went back to my sister-in-law, Vonnie's house, and she took me into my brother killed himself when I was in prison. But his wife took me into his room and says, just take anything you want. The wardrobe was full of the top designer gear. Like, you name it, he had it. The sweaters, cashmere, Pringle, the suits, Armani. It was he had a lot of money. And she said, and I filled a suitcase, a big suitcase. I just filled it up, beautiful gear. And I said, thanks very much. Now that I'm wearing his clothes, it'll bring him closer to me. Because I didn't mourn him in prison. I just bottled it all up. But when I got out and I eventually went back to Glasgow, I could let it all out. But I felt good, you know, smelling his shots.
Yeah. You had a part of him sort of with you now. His clothes and stuff, and his nice clothes. And what just on the end note, what took you back to, or what made you go to Indonesia? Sorry.
Yeah, well, I didn't know what post-traumatic stress disorder was. I'd never heard of that before. And as I told you, my brother was in prison for 20 years. And there is a group called Mojo, Miscarriage of Justice Organisation, Paddy Hill, Jerry Conlon, the Irish boys. So I linked up with them. I became friends with them. And they ran this organisation called Mojo. And I thought, oh, and I'd done some paintings for them and put them on sale and donated the money to the Mojo organisation because it wasn't being government funded. And then one day, I was just sitting in my house in Glasgow, looking out of the window, and it was raining, it was dismal. And I thought, what am I doing here?
Couldn't be arsed for that shit.
Yeah, I think I'll go back out to Asia. I got a job painting and decorating again with a company called, you know the company, B&Q. And I used to do the night shift. And I used to do 7 nights a week. I was getting £1,200 a week, but taking tax off, I was left with 8, which is a good salary. You know, it's a really good wage.
Yeah, it is.
So easy to save up. Then one day I said, I'm going to go back out to Asia. But I've been in Thailand, I've been here and here. Where should I go next? I think I'll go out to Indonesia because I'd heard a lot about Bali and stuff like that. And so I started chatting to this lady online from Indonesia. Just chat. Then we went on to Yahoo Messenger. And then you can face-to-face talking, right? So I flew out to Indonesia, met her, had a good time with her, only stayed about 6 weeks. Then I went back again to the UK. Then the same thing again. Why am I here? It's boring. I don't socialise much. And I started to dibble and dabble in a little bit of heroin every weekend. Get stoned on Friday, get stoned on Saturday. And then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then maybe Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, a few rough. Wednesday, Thursday, back to normal again. Friday, back on. And that was becoming a little bit of a habit. And my sister, Agnes, noticed that. She said, you're taking heroin. I said, no, I don't take any drug. She said, look at the chocolate wrappers in the bin. The bin was full of chocolate because that's all you want. You eat chocolate, you know, you don't want to eat food.
Yeah, do you think you were getting depressed just being in that lifestyle? You've traveled around the world, this lovely weather, and you're thinking you're sitting in this rainy sort of place and you just want to go, fuck it, I want to go over to Indonesia, one of these places, brilliant weather, better lifestyle, and you just went, fuck it, and left?
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I had 2 good experiences when I went back. In 2004, I went to Portugal for the Euros with a group called Carlton Athletic Recovery Group. That's a group of guys who are ex-alcoholics, ex-drug addicts, and they formed a football team. And they'd arranged a trip to go to the Euros. So we all went to the Euros, right? So that was a great experience because I could meet lots of different people. And I'm a real talkative guy, you know, and I speak to Chinese people, and people are like, what the fuck, man? This guy can talk Chinese. You know, it's quite unusual, you know.
It is. I'm not going to lie to you. You were speaking a bit there, and I was going, you actually sound like a Chinese man. You've got the sort of the accent and everything down to a T.
Yeah, I've lost a lot of it now because I've not been using it, but I did use it in Glasgow. I even went to court for people, Chinese guys growing weed, and asked me to do the translation and go to court and talk. And the lawyer at the court says to me, hey, you want a job? I said, no, I don't want a job. Thanks. Wow. But I was using it in the place where I lived. There's a market called the Barras. And you probably know, they probably have the same in Ireland. A lot of the Chinese with the fake DVDs, fake cigarettes, fake Diesel, Prado bags and this and this. Yeah. And they used to always call me because they can't speak English. So, so I would be talking with them in Chinese and then go back to them, my friends or guys at the market, and say, they want £15 a sleeve. Okay. Yeah, okay, we'll buy that. But it was only 12. So I would get £3 off the guy that I'm selling them to.
Yeah.
And then I get £2 off of them. So I was getting a £5 a sleeve. I was like, oh yeah, this is good. And then bags and shoes and glasses and stuff. So I've done a bit of trading like that, and I used the Chinese when I was there. But eventually, like you say, I was a bit depressed and, sitting about, and I look out the window and it's raining again. And I met this girl online, started chatting. I said, I'd like to come out for a holiday. So I flew out to Singapore and then took a boat over to this place called Tanjung Penang. And I met this lady and I stayed there for 6 weeks. And then I went back to the UK, again, sitting in the UK, just chatting online. I'm going out there to live. So I asked her, I'm going to come out there. So, you want to get married? Yeah, I want to get married. Oh, yes. So I went out there, met her. She was an English teacher, so she could speak good English. Went up to Jakarta, met her family, got married, and then come up to here, where I'm staying now in Central Java, in a little town called Salatiga. It's beautiful. And I just never left. Life's easy.
That's it. Why would you? Why would you want to? Do you know what I mean? You're living a good life. You've had all these experiences. You're out there now. It's warm. It's you're living the life. That's at the end of the day, you're living the life, and that's what it's great. It's great to hear that.
Yeah.
But I think we'll end it on that note. I would love you to come back sometime to talk about different subjects.
We can have a chat, because me and you sort of relate easy, so we can discuss things, and you maybe say next week, next month, 3 months. Doesn't matter.
No,
we just need to keep in touch. And maybe tell you a different story.
Yes, definitely, 100%. 100%. I would love you to come back. That's coming up to nearly 2 hours. It doesn't even seem like 2 hours. Coming up to 2 hours.
I told you I'm a chatterbox.
No. Listen, that's what you. Listen. This is your experiences. I said to you before that to do a podcast with you, maybe multiple podcasts would benefit you, because it's you've got so many stories. But listen, you do have a book, right? And I've put the website down here.
www. I can see it, www.badboysbooks. That's perfect. So on there, they'll see it. Actually, I've got 2 books. It will be on Bad Boys Net. You don't have to.
I will leave all the links for your books in the comment section and description of this YouTube video. So you can just click them links. It'll take you straight to that website, and you will be able to purchase those books. And guys, I'm going to be purchasing this book because I want to know in detail what happened. Amazing, Lockie, absolutely amazing guest, amazing guy, and thank you very much for coming on. Is there any final words?
No, I'd just like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak, because it is therapy. It's therapy. Although I've been out of prison a long time, get it out.
Yeah.
Talk to somebody. Like, you ask good questions.
Yeah.
Take me to somewhere that I've been a long time ago. Bring it back out again.
Mm-hmm.
And it heals you. The same with the podcast with Liquid Bullets and Steve.
Yeah.
After it, I feel a little bit drained, then very relaxed.
Yeah.
And tonight I'll sleep like a baby.
Well, also, I'll actually say that too. If you want to watch Lockie's podcast with Steve Wraith and Liquid Bullets, I will also leave those links in the comment section, the description of this video, so you can go and watch them too. Everybody adds a different aspect to a podcast, and I will definitely go and watch them. But Lockie, it was a pleasure to have you on. I'm very happy you came on. Hope you have a great day. And guys, thank you for tuning in. Well, guys, what did you think about that? Absolutely phenomenal. Lockie's story from his son, the heroics of his son, to his other son that hasn't been told in other podcasts, that wasn't told on his documentary, on the Daily Motion documentary. His other son came back and was arrested. Those guards, guys, those the Chinese government, the Chinese prison system must have been absolutely ripping. But even though Lockie's a very smart man, you can tell through this podcast that there was a touch of luck. You needed a touch of luck. There was moments where he could have died. If he had admitted to certain things, they would have shot him, because that's how the Chinese sort of communist prisons work. Crazy story, guys. Tell me in the comments section, did you like this story? I love this story, guys. I love doing these podcasts. This is what I've came on to YouTube to do. Remember, Lockie's books, you can get them at www.badboysbooks.net, or use the links in the comment section and description of this video. It's well worth a read, guys. Great gift. Or maybe you're into true crime yourself, or maybe you're just into good explosive stories. This book is brilliant, guys. Absolutely fantastic, and it goes into more detail. You have your documentaries, which gives you a brief. You have your podcast, which digs a wee bit deeper. But when you read the book, you'll understand the story fully. And there's things in the book that you can't talk about in podcasts. So make sure you buy this book, guys. It's only £20 and you won't be disappointed. Trust me. I hope you enjoyed that, guys. Give this little video a thumbs up. Subscribe, ring the bell, and peace.